then museums help in this process with our education of our kids, but also with this hands-on approach.
Yeah, so really, like, in the museum world, there's two basic types of museums. There's secular museums, and there's biblical worldview museums. And so all of them have the same hard evidence. And when you walk in, it really depends on what your worldview is. What are your presuppositions? Like, what do you believe before coming into the museum, that when you look at the evidence, you're thinking, oh, this is X amount of years old. And so a lot of museums, no matter what they say, how old it is on their placards, most of the staff at museums around the world are really helpful, and they want to assist children with learning. So no matter what museum is nearby you, like, engaging with the staff at the museum to ask, what programs you have for kids, or, maybe you have like a guide, and maybe they have a children's version of the guide that's a little bit more easy to understand. And again, like, it might be a creation science location that puts everything in context of biblical worldview. However, if it's a secular location that says millions or billions of years, still, you can use that, again, as a critical thinking tool to ask your child, like, all right, so what do you see wrong with this paragraph? And they can point out to you, like, oh, it says 6.5 billion years, or it says that humans evolved. Like, those are things that require critical thinking, and reinforces to the child that this is what I need to be looking for when I step out into the world.
Right. Yeah. And my kids they always point those things out. When we go out, now that they're adults and late teen, but it was nice. I mean, we went to a lot of different museums that didn't always agree with what we viewed biblically as our own family, values and how we taught our kids in our homeschool. But that doesn't mean that, like you say, we need to close ourselves off from those resources, because they are very good resources that we can use, because we're the ones educating. In the end, our kids need to know how to make those discerning differences in their own lives as they get older.
Yeah, and also, like, just the scriptural truth that, like, the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Like, God owns everything. He's God. And so that includes all the things that the secular museums claim ownership of. God really is the one who created them, and he ultimately owns them, so we can use them as his children. And something like, just a quick little thing I always like to remind myself and my family is, like, when we go somewhere, wherever we go, whatever we're doing, like, we want to see God's world through the lens of God's word. That's just kind of like a little statement that is easy to remember: God's world through the lens of God's word. Okay, got it. And you can kind of check yourself with that statement.
Right. Yep. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, my son said to me one point, "Why does it always come back to the Bible?" And I said, "Because it does." That's my easy answer for something complicated.
Yes.